And thanks to everybody who's reached out and said hello, because we talked that I would, on the previous program, that I would be here. So it's been nice to hear from people and great to get feedback as well from everybody. We always love that. We're going to skip reading it today because we don't want the show to go too long, and we have so much to talk about. So yeah, please give us a rating and review whenever you can. And with that, Mr. Richard Wilson, what's your one big thing this week?
My one big thing, as we know, last summer was the summer of Saudi transfers. And in the Saudi Professional League and the whole Saudi, football initiative is, under the microscope. Everyone's examining it, and we're in a little interesting interlude right now. And so, just as context, let's remember that the Saudi Pro League clubs spent in the summer 2023 summer transfer window spent $957 million. They acquired 94 overseas players, including 37 from Europe's Big Five leagues. The highest number of acquisitions came from the Premier League, which we all know, at a gross value of $312 million. So they were poaching. That's a lot. That's 94 overseas players, 37 from Europe's Big Five leagues, as I mentioned. So as we all know, the Saudi Professional League is going hard to up its game, to expand its reach, to increase the value of its clubs, to make it they ultimately want to make it a top 10 league globally. Or the interlude I mentioned is there are no Saudi Pro League games going on right now. Their season is from October to March. They're 19 games in. Everything's come to a full stop. If you've looked at the Pro League table recently, you know that Al Hilal is kicking butt, just dominating. They're 7 points up on Al Nassr. Likewise, Ronaldo is kicking butt. He, sorry, that's not really, since it fits with football, but he's the leading scorer in the league and he's the leading assist guy, so he's kicking butt. Last year's winner, Al Ittihad, is a good bit back, 17 points behind. Our sweetheart team, Al Faya, which was at 10th early on, is slipped down to 14 and is in danger of relegation. The top three teams, there's 18 teams in the league. The bottom three teams relegated. So the Saudi Pro League, and just again, I'm just to refresh our memories, 18 teams. Each team can have 10 non-Saudi players. They can only have 8 playing a game. As we've talked about before, about 30% of the players in the Saudi Pro League are foreigners. So that's out of 515 players, about 30% are foreigners. So, all right. So you've got the Saudi Pro League. They're busting along on season 23, 2023-24. They're taking a break because the Asian Cup, 18th running of the Asian Cup is underway. A big, big deal. So this is now ongoing in Qatar. It runs from January 12th to February 10th. 24 national teams, 51 games across 9 stadiums in 7 cities in Qatar. So every 4 years. So this is a big thing. And Saudi Arabia has had some success in the past. Of the 18 Asian Cups, Japan has won 4. Iran and Saudi Arabia have won 3 times. South Korea has won twice. Israel, Kuwait, Iraq, Australia, and Qatar have each won once. Saudi Arabia had a fantastic run from 1984 to 2007. They were in 6 of 7 Asian Cup finals, and they won 3 of them. But if you do the math, it's been 27 years since they won in 1996. And you know how it works, with the U.S. men's team. But any national team, there's all this scrutiny, there's all this hand-wringing. Why haven't we done better? Why do we crash out? Why can't we finish? So on and so forth. And so this team, the Green Falcons, has a coach, an Italian coach who Mancini, Roberto Mancini, former head of the Italy national team, also former head of Manchester City and Inter Milan. So he's the guy in the driver's seat right now. A lot of pressure. There's a question though, and this is what's kind of fun, because in reality, this is all just part of the process. But when you introduce all these new players, foreign players, they don't come to Saudi to get paid and to sit. They're playing, and they're taking minutes from Saudi nationals. So you have one side who says, all right, just so the injection of this, superior talent ups the game. Everybody gets better. Practices are better. Games are better. So by extension, the quality of Saudi play could be better. Conversely, Saudis are losing minutes. So these foreign players come in and they take minutes. So you don't really know what the result's going to be. What's going to win out, the improved level of play or the experience you get from playing, if that's reduced. So they're going into the Asian Cup with high hopes. We know they did well in the World Cup last year. Obviously, they beat Argentina, the eventual winner in the opening round. They didn't get to the round of 16, but they felt like they did well. They played their first game against Oman, January 16th. Squeaker. They won in extra time, major squeaker. There's already been some controversy. Mancini left off 3 players that thought, were expected to be on. And, his story was, and one of the 3 players was actually the leading Saudi goalkeeper. And as I understand it, there's not a lot of native Saudi goalkeepers. So that's a space where a lot of foreigners usually dominate. He said they sort of said, they were hemming and hawing and not fully committed because they weren't sure about playing time. Of course, they disagree. But anyway, so controversy abounds. Fortunately, they're not in a strong group. They're in a group with Oman, Kyrgyzstan, and Thailand. So they squeak past Oman. They're playing Kyrgyzstan on January 21st and Thailand on January 25th. Hopefully, they'll get out of the grouping and get to the knockout rounds. Sporting News has Japan as the favorite, followed by South Korea, Australia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. So they're one of the top 5 in it. So anyway, interesting time. The grand experiment that is Saudi football, trying to up the quality of play and increase the value of everything associated with it, is at a little inflection point here. There's going to be a lot of, wringing of hands, and whatever happens over the long term, it's just part of the process. But it will be interesting to see how the Saudis compete after a 27-year dry spell. If in fact the premise that we're going to improve the competitive level of our league, and that will like a rising tide will raise all boats. It'll be interesting if we see that in its first international play. So I wanted to update everybody on the Saudi Professional League. Stay tuned. We will see what drama awaits.
Good one for sure, because I was a little out of date on the Saudi Pro League. And so that was very useful. I'm not going to, and I think I can speak for both of us, Richard, we are not going to ditch. We are not fair weather fans. We have been battle hardened by the Washington football team in the United States, which has not won in literally forever. So we are not going to ditch Al Fayha, but it is not good to get relegated. You got all this money going into these other teams, and the trend line for Al Fayha right now is not great. So, I don't want to say that I want to get a second team, Richard. I mean, maybe we will. I don't know, but you don't like to see that. Definitely not in the Saudi Pro League.
I guess we could have it. If they get relegated, we can have a team in the First Division League, and we could also have a team in the Premier League, the Professional League. So
yeah.
We can have,
we should. Yeah.
So anyway, the Al Fayha Orange. I mean, it's tough. It's deliberately. I mean, it's lopsided. You have 4 teams that have PIF participation. You have another several teams. Aramco and CAF. Well, that's the CAF is just a sponsor, but you have some financial backers that are significant. And then you have, if there's 18 teams, that maybe covers 6 to 8 of them. The rest of the teams sort of have to scrap by and figure it out on their own. They're like, and actually, to be honest, some of those franchises are kind of, you pull for them. You really want them to be the David versus the Goliaths.
Yeah. I mean, there's a potential Saudi movie in the future of Al Fayha just surprising everybody, taking on the big money, winning the cup. Great, useful overview. We're not going to ditch Al Feiha, but maybe what we should do, Richard, we should have our secondary teams that are, some of the big clubs, and you and I choose separate ones so we could root against each other for this one. I think
We
that
do
would
need to
be
do that.
that would be hilarious. Yeah, this is a very useful update. My friend Abdul Rahman just sent this to me. The waitlist for the Ronaldo Messi game coming up here in Riyadh. I believe it's early in February. And many things now in Saudi Arabia and all the events and a lot of the sporting events, you use WeBook, which is an app, a Saudi
Right.
app to book these tickets. I mean, you do it for Wonder Garden and, these Boulevard World and everything, but you also use them for football games. And there's apparently a wait list for that game that is at least 50,000 people long. And Abdul Rahman was like, I don't think we have a chance, man, to go to this game. I'm sorry. I know you asked if we could do it. He's usually a guy that can accomplish things, but he
Make it
said
happen.
basically, yeah, I don't know about this. So that is interesting. I think there is a palpable level of excitement here about football, but you also have games, especially what was the Spanish league was here. So
Yeah,
that's why they're having that
Supercopa,
break.
whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the attendance for some of those games have not been great. But some have been really great. But there is a lot of excitement for football here. Just the last thing I want to add is not related to football, but I had Ronaldo pizza 2 nights ago. I think I sent you a photo. This is when my internet was down here. It's back, thankfully. But I had the Ronaldo pizza delivery on Hunger Station, which was really good. My kids didn't like it, unfortunately, but I thought it was
What's
awesome.
on a
I don't think it's
Ronaldo
related
pizza?
though.
Is
It's
it?
like, yeah, well, it's like it's the name of the restaurant, and I was like, I have
Oh,
to
all
try
right,
that. It says
gotcha.
Ronaldo. There's no way that isn't homage to Cristiano Ronaldo, and it was good. But yeah, food delivery apps are really good here. So anyway, look at how far off I've already taken us.
No,
But
it's
that
all
was a
good.
good update
It's all
on
good.
football, and yes, I think the Green Falcons. I mean, again, not an expert, but I think they can handle Kyrgyzstan and was it Thailand that they're
Yeah,
playing?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be disastrous if they didn't get out of the group. But the hopes are higher than that. So we'll see. It's interesting. And it is interesting you mentioned on because attendance is really, really uneven. Big games, a lot of
Hmm.
people, smaller games, not many. And it's kind of interesting. I tried to use WeBook to get tickets to Al Hilal Al Nasser when I was there in December last month. And no luck. I think I might have reached out to Abdul Rahman. I don't think he might have said, I think it was a no go because some of those games like that one,
Hmm.
was jam packed. And by the way, apparently just getting to the stadium is a mess because there's everybody's going and big games like that mess. I mean, the city will be locked down for that Messi Ronaldo thing.
Yeah, the city does not do a great job at planning
No,
entrances and exits to certain neighborhoods, just the way that the whole streets are designed here and all the construction happening in every direction. And it's like, okay, so getting in and out of CAF, for example, is not straightforward. And that's okay, but it doesn't surprise me that getting in and out of stadiums is probably worse
it
than it
is
is in the
crazy.
US.
And Boulevard World, which you mentioned, and I've been there as well, and I bet the kids just love it. I loved it, and I'm not a kid anymore. Um, Apparently, when over holiday break, when kids weren't at school, they had to shut it down because they had to close it for a night because it was just overwhelmed. And it's a
Mhm.
huge place. It's huge.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know if my kids loved it because it was really overwhelming,
It is.
and that was a conversation I had with my wife. Is because we were walking around and I sort of it was surreal to have loud techno music blasting in Saudi Arabia for me. I mean, I know they've had MDL Beast, Middle Beast for a few years, and that they've had some public music for a while. But for me, it was weird. I mean, it was like you were in an amusement park in the middle of Riyadh pre-Vision 2030. That would have been very, very hard to imagine, just because everything was very different. And she kept asking me like, "What seems really different to you?" And I mean, pricing, hotel pricing and apartment pricing and all of that is very different. But then culturally, it's just way more open and cool. But yeah, anyway, I think my kids were a little overwhelmed. And they're so
Yeah.
young, but they were just like, what is happening?
Oh,
So,
the macro.
but they were like, I definitely thought it left an impression on them. But anyway, so